In December 1980, near two U.S. Air Force bases in England, several military personnel reported strange lights in a nearby forest. There was no panic, no official conclusion, only written reports and testimonies. This is the Rendlesham Forest Incident. The events took place near RAF Woodbridge and RAF Bentwaters, both operated by the United States Air Force. Late at night, security personnel noticed unusual lights moving between the trees of Rendlesham Forest. At first, they believed it could be a downed aircraft. A small group was sent to investigate. According to their statements, the lights appeared controlled and silent. They were not flares. They were not vehicles. And they did not behave like aircraft. One of the airmen, John Burroughs, later stated that a glowing object was seen among the trees. He described it as small, with a smooth surface and strange markings. Others reported lights moving above the forest canopy. Importantly, these were trained military personnel. Their job was observation and security. They were not civilians unfamiliar with aircraft or equipment. In the following days, a formal report was written. It was signed by Lieutenant Colonel Charles Halt, the deputy base commander. The document described unusual lights, unexplained movements, and no identifiable source. Radiation readings were reportedly taken, though later explanations questioned their accuracy. No physical object was ever recovered. In the years that followed, the Rendlesham Forest Incident did not disappear. Those who witnessed the lights did not change their accounts. They repeated the same details, even decades later. John Burroughs and Jim Peniston, two of the men present that night, continued to describe what they saw, with consistency. They did not claim to know what it was, only that it did not resemble any known aircraft or military technology they were familiar with. As time passed, the incident slowly became known outside military circles. Journalists requested documents. Researchers interviewed witnesses. And questions began to grow. Why was no clear explanation ever given? And why were the reports never fully addressed? Over time, several explanations were suggested. Some argued that the lights were caused by a nearby lighthouse. Others suggested bright stars, misinterpreted due to stress and darkness. These explanations were presented as possible answers, but they were never officially confirmed. No single explanation was formally accepted by all involved. The military did not label the event as a threat, but they also did not classify it as a simple misunderstanding. Instead, the case was quietly archived. One of the most important elements of the case is the existence of official documentation. Lieutenant Colonel Charles Halt submitted a written report describing unexplained lights and unusual activity. The report did not mention extraterrestrials. It did not make dramatic claims. It simply stated that something unusual had occurred, and its origin was unknown. That uncertainty is what keeps the case alive. Not because of speculation, but because of the absence of closure. Decades have passed since 1980. Technology has advanced. Surveillance has improved. And our understanding of the sky has grown. Yet the Rendlesham Forest Incident remains unresolved. Not because answers were hidden, but because no answer ever fully fit. The Rendlesham Forest Incident is not a story about aliens. It is a story about observation, about trained individuals reporting something they could not identify. It reminds us that not every event fits neatly into an explanation. Sometimes, history leaves questions unanswered, and in rare cases, those questions remain, not as mysteries to be feared, but as reminders of how limited our understanding can be. What makes the Rendlesham Forest Incident unusual is not the suggestion of an unknown craft. It is the reaction that followed. There was no press conference, no detailed investigation released to the public, no final statement meant to close the case. Instead, the incident was left unresolved. Witnesses returned to their duties, reports were filed, and life continued. But the questions did not disappear. For many years, the Rendlesham Forest case was discussed quietly, often dismissed, sometimes misunderstood. Yet none of the witnesses ever publicly retracted their statements. They did not seek attention. They did not profit from the story. They simply repeated what they experienced, even when skepticism followed. That quiet consistency is what sets this case apart. Not because it proves anything, but because it resists simple explanations. In the end, the Rendlesham Forest Incident stands as a documented moment where trained observers encountered something they could not explain. And sometimes, history does not give us answers, only records.